Hello and welcome to Leviathan News. Today is November 22nd, 2 days away from Turkey Day, but not for my international friends here, Wajahat and DeFi Advisor, only for us Americans. But
Cool. Well,
GM anyways.
yeah.
GM.
Yeah. Well, big news of the day yesterday is that CZ has stepped down as CEO of Binance into Venera, and Binance has agreed to pay a $4.3 billion fine for criminal activities that the Department of Justice levied against them. These are in connection with U.S. anti-money laundering charges, and this is part of a plea that allows Binance to continue its operations. However, CZ Xiao Jinping or Zhao is stepping down and appeared yesterday in a Seattle federal court to enter his plea. He is most likely going to go to jail for 18 months, it looks like, based on the conditions of his bond. He does not have to contest or anything if the sentence is less than 18 months. If it's more than that, which there is a maximum sentence of 10 years, then he can take it to trial and contest. But right now, he's pleading guilty and probably might see some jail time. He hasn't been sentenced yet. I will say that fellow exchange owner Arthur Hayes, who was convicted of a similar crime, ended up getting 2 years of probation for his activities. And so really an end of an era. I think that there's two things to focus on here. One is that we do live in a society where there are rules, and he did break the rules according to whatever the U.S. said, and potentially funds were routed into Iran, and they were also routed into Hamas, or I don't know, North Korea, God knows where. But those rules were known before, and they did get broken. So there is some criminality that did occur. At the same time, I will say that this charge by the United States is arbitrary, right? There's no fraud, there's no manipulation. No one lost any money, and Binance is able to walk away and continue to operate at just this exorbitant fine, right? $4 billion, kind of crazy, which is, there was no malfeasance other than allowing for politically charged transmission of money. And so at the end of the day, it was a U.S. focused flexing of their empire role in the financial monetary system.
Yeah, I think I think you nailed it with the word arbitrary. Like, why? It doesn't really seem like they're really going after him because of why they say they're going after him. Like, for example, what did you say that he was actually accused of? Like, what is he actually pleading guilty of?
So it's money laundering, and then I'll pull up the other crimes here. Give me 1 second. But the primary charge that had been running through was that Binance had allowed significant amounts of funds to flow into Iran. They were saying some $800 million of volume traded through Iranian connected exchanges in connection with Binance. And that this OFAC violation was one of the bigger charges. So CZ himself faces a maximum sentence of 10 years and fines up to $500,000, plus any profits he made from the alleged money laundering scheme. So his sentence will be delayed by 6 months, and his agreement includes a waiver of his right to appeal, providing that his sentence doesn't exceed 18 months. And I guess everybody gets what they want, right? Because Binance was charged with
who you are.
Well, no, I mean politically, everybody gets what they want, right? Binance accepts 3 criminal charges, felony criminal charges, including conducting an unlicensed money transmitting business, a conspiracy charge, and violating the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. And so I guess everybody gets what they want. The U.S. gets CZ to step down as CEO. The U.S. also gets a data sharing agreement with Binance in-house for the next 3 years. And Binance gets to be able to continue to operate. And so everybody kind of wins here. Like the Yellen and the entire Biden administration gets to get up and say, hey, we got one. But at the same time, Binance is operating still. Richard Teng, one of the executives at Binance, is now the CEO. He will be running the company now. CZ might see some jail time. Afterwards, he says he wants to do some degen investing. But it's just a little, I don't know. I don't want to be somebody who's like cheering either way, right? Because the Binance knew what they were doing. It was clear in the documentation that they had, and additionally, it feels like an overstep at times of U.S. power. Oh, hey, look, what's going on?
Yeah, we got him on. We got him on, folks. We got him on.
We got him.
Oh shit! Hold on. I'm like 40 seconds behind you guys on YouTube. I forgot to close it. Okay. Man,
we got him.
I didn't realize, like, we're just so team.
This is bigger than
CZ
CZ
here.
stepping down, by the way. This is bigger than CZ stepping down.
No, I'm not Team Z. TC.
You literally just said this is arbitrary. Nothing happened. This is just the government going after him. Like, what do you mean, man?
You're adding words, Rex. You're adding words. We didn't say just. We didn't say all this, that. But we have a different perspective that says that, yeah, they're targeting.
No. I wrote it in the YouTube. You guys said.
Oh yeah, no, said, I do think it's arbitrary. I think that like
there was no fraud. That this was arbitrary. That there's no malfeasance. Like, how can you say that?
Well, I'm saying what the charges showed, at least, like in the DOJ charges.
You think that nothing bad happened and that they were able to charge DOJ, and CZ's like, I did nothing wrong. This is arbitrary, but I'll pay $4 billion and lose my job.
I mean, they violated politically charged money transmitting laws. They allowed for
that's laws.
Of course.
Yeah, but is he the only one that's breaking them? Why?
No, but everyone's going to jail. What do you mean? Arthur Hayes is gone. SBF is gone. Do Kwon's gone. Like, what?
And
are they still around?
But don't you feel that maybe
he's
there's
a Twitter influencer?
No, but Rex, I think that our disagreement is that it seems that you feel that, like at least from the position that it feels that you're taking, it feels that you see the Department of Justice as truly like just like their name is like Department of Justice, and all they care about is justice, and they don't have any other interests. And I think that we see it as if they have quite a lot of interests, and I think that's where we actually differentiate. I don't think there's such a huge difference, because no one, I think, is saying that Binance is naive and all of that. But
well, again, before I logged on, which started this, you both said that this was completely arbitrary. There was no fraud.
I'm saying it's arbitrary by the fact that why now? Why Binance? Why CZ? That's what I mean. Well, I'm not saying that for two.
I think there's a lot of similarities to the U.S. using its powers of FACTA. The Foreign American Tax Compliance Act, to essentially shut down the idea of offshore Swiss private banking, and to use its power as key global player and primary empire within the global space, to force pretty much every country in the entire world to sign up to its data sharing agreements and financial surveillance on.
I mean, like, but what about a world where CZ actually laundered money and allowed like drug dealers to like take their kidnapping money and launder it into good money? Like, imagine that world for one moment. Shouldn't we do something about it?
You're right.
Well, but they were anyways. I mean, like,
aren't they already doing it in the bank? Like,
no.
Like for example, I'm very.
That's why I have to change jurisdictions every 3 months.
Well, they're in Dubai now.
Like, come on, I will tell you why it's kind of like when I saw the headlines about or Janet Yellen speaking about terror attacks, like we're in Israel here and we have quite a strong opinion about Hamas. Most of us Jewish people in Israel, we have a very strong opinion on it here, honestly. But to represent, like, the reason that Hamas is because of people like CZ. Come on.
What?
No, that's not true. Look, we're getting off. I think there's
as if he's some kind of a terrorist accomplice, guys.
I think there's two parts here. That yes, the US's actions were arbitrary and a flex of its power, but at the same time they did break the law, right?
That.
I mean, they did break the law.
That?
No, I
they
mean,
just agreed that they did. Like, literally, that's what the guilty plea is we agreed that we broke the law.
Yeah, but you sometimes agree to please something because you think it's going to serve your interest in the long run, and not necessarily because of it. Like, there has been cases in which someone pleads guilty because they know that if he doesn't, it's going to create a lot more friction. You know this even better than I, Rex.
Right. What's the more friction, though? That he would go to jail.
Yeah, for a long.
No, I don't think so. If they ruin Binance completely and everything that he's created, like threat on him, in my opinion, then serving a specific time in jail. He doesn't want to see his life creation go to waste. That's the way I see it.
Wait, guys, hold on 1 second. Is everybody seeing? Does people see DeFi Advisor, or is he stuck with the bottle?
What? No, everything's working. Garrett's on.
Everything's working.
Because I see him. I just there's something stuck on.
Maybe refresh, because here it's okay as well.
Yeah,
and nice to see you too, Garrett.
Yeah, what I missed? Anything good?
Yeah, CZ is just like the second coming for crypto people.
No, but Rex is exaggerating, I think. But first of all, the most important thing, like, even the bigger news, in my opinion, even beyond the fact of the CZ story, is that Rex is on the stream, guys.
I know. Let's
get things into proportion. Okay, that's
Rex,
the actual story. Like, change the headline first of all. But I do think that no, I'm not saying that CZ is the second coming of anyone.
Sam was more saying that.
Okay, but I'm not saying that. I don't think that CZ is. I actually think that CZ is good for the industry. Yeah, and I think that on this part of the world, like, I'm onboarded to crypto because of CZ, because I tried to do it on Kraken, it didn't work.
What about all the people that were onboarded? All the people that were onboarded because of SBF.
Yeah, of course. Look, I don't have any hero worship for the guy. I think that it needed to happen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
What are we talking about?
Well, look. I mean, but here's the thing, right? And I was talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine. Is that this action is a positive sum for the entire ecosystem, because now the US has data sharing agreements with Binance. They essentially have access to their entire, like, exchange data and trading data, at least for the next 3 years. And so,
why is that? Because Binance pleaded guilty to money laundering.
Exactly. But it's a net positive, because the biggest reason that all of the ETFs had been getting shot down was questions of market manipulation, and
which is illegal.
But the way that the regulators, the SEC and other regulators, prevent market manipulation is they have data sharing agreements with all the different brokerages. So if you find out information about, like, a biotech company beforehand, and you go load up on calls like the day before with 0-day calls, and all of a sudden you're up like 30,000% in one day, they know who made those trades, right? Or if you go and you file a fake XRP filing agreement inside of like Delaware, and you pump the market 10% and then it dumps 10% within an hour, like, they know who made those trades. And so I think their reticence to give the green light for these ETFs has just been that they're the largest exchange by volume in the entire world did not have those data sharing agreements with the United States, and now they do.
Money laundering. Like, you just, like, throwing away the fact there's actually crimes here.
But aren't there crimes within BlackRock? Aren't there crimes within?
No. That's false.
Come on.
There's false equivalence, right? Like specifically, like BlackRock's not allowing like engaging in the transfer of funds of.
Like if I go do
BlackRock is a bunch of like innocent people.
Okay, no, this is false equivalence, DeFi advisor. I don't accept your argument here. I think that there were specific instances where Iranian-backed exchanges had access to Binance and were able to, but like different story, right?
North Korean. I mean, sort of. Why is it different?
Well, the Russia as a whole doesn't have an entire sanctions regime against it.
As
right?
someone with in-laws in Russia right now, I beg to differ.
Well, my wife is Russian as well too. So there are ways. It's not like Iran. Russia is not Iran, right? The entire country of Russia is not sanctioned like in the entire country of Iran, because like zero money can flow from U.S. banks into Iran, but it can still flow. You know.
I mean, if you know how to get U.S. money into Russia, we need to have a phone call after this.
Well, it's not that hard. You set up a Kazakh bank and then you send money to Kazakhstan.
So money laundering?
No, it's not money laundering. It's just that it's just using Rails. Also, crypto
is just using Rails. Oh my God, you and CZ, like it's not money laundering. It's just using Rails.
No, but crypto is a great way to get money into any country.
I mean, okay, please don't take any fucking advice ever from this conversation. It is not.
Can I ask real quick, what's the status of Justin Sun, given that, like you're saying, Iran does have like blanket sanctions, and I think Tron and Tether is like pretty heavy footprint in Iran, right? And he's one of the last surviving horsemen of the previous cycle.
I don't have any information on that right now.
I mean, look, like if we want to be pro-government for a minute, which I realize is about to get me kicked off stream, like
no,
if we want to
don't say that. That's not fair.
I'm pro-government. I believe that government is better than.
Me too. I was in the army, man. I was in the reserves as well.
I fully agree with you. Rex. I fully agree with you.
You two are saying you're pro-government now? What topsy-turvy are we in?
I maybe see some. Just a minute, Rex. I see stuff differently than you. It's okay, but you don't see. You are not more pro-government in general than myself. Especially for a very simple fact. Did you serve in the military?
Hold on, wait. These are bad arguments. Hold on, DeFi advisor. I'm stopping this right here. I think these are bad arguments. I'm gonna put you on mute for a second. Look, I think that the look, I don't like the tit for tat stuff here. I think the important thing about these distinctions is that, you know, we can call into question like the wide-ranging effects of the BSA and how the U.S. is able to essentially use it to weaponize it for political purposes.
I disagree with that. What I was trying to say before DeFi Advisor and I got into that tit for tat was like, let's take a pro-government stance for a moment. Let's say, okay, we want crypto and Bitcoin and all this stuff to be integrated into the financial system. But today it's being run by literal crooks. In order to get your ETF, in order to get integration, we just need to get the actual criminals out. Shouldn't this be like lauded as an incredible thing that the DOJ is doing, as opposed to letting this continue to be just like unregulated nonsense by criminals?
I agree with you. Garrett, what do you got here?
I just thought I was going to stall for time since it seemed like the two of you were like trying to process the statement. I'll go ahead and take the anti-government stance since everyone here is pro-government. Might as well.
It's okay.
It's not that I'm anti-government. Like I'm pro-government in theory. I just think that the implementation has a lot of friction, and I'd like to see the frictions get ironed out.
Yeah.
Right. But again, let's.
What about the criminals? Just a short comment. Because again, I think there's we're trying to put it like in black and white, but we all know it's not black and white. And what I'm saying is, what about because Rex, you are right. There are criminals within the industry, both on the centralized side and on the decentralized side, and we should try going as a society we should go as a civilized society. We should go after them all. But aren't there all also criminals within the system, within the government?
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't.
Let's not be-
These are we're getting
Why,
off
Sam?
topic.
We don't have
No,
to
we're-
agree, Sam. But you
I think we're just
you cut me off any time that you don't agree. Like
no.
you
I'm
don't
just.
have to say,
I think like let's just stick to the facts here.
Look, we're talking about CZ, right? That's what we're talking about.
the facts, guys.
But I think like look at the end of the day, he's just an executive. He built a company. He gets to step away now.
He broke the law.
He broke the law. Binance pays a fine. He like CZ gets a felony charge. Maybe spends 18 months in prison at the max. And
Probably none. I mean, he'll get the Arthur Hayes treatment. No,
I don't know. I mean, if you look at the terms of his plea agreement, I'm just going to pull it up right here. It says that he faces up to 10 years and fines of $500,000 plus any profits he made from the alleged scheme, and that he has waived his right to appeal, provided that his sentence doesn't exceed 18 months, according to the judge. So, they can put him away for a year and a half, and he has no right to appeal.
yeah. I mean, I just he agreed to it, right? So
Yes.
he's probably not going to jail. Like that's and if he is, like, fine, but whatever. Like, you break the law, you go to jail, and I don't understand. Like, this isn't arbitrary. It's just not.
No, of course. Look, I think that like justice will be doled out. I don't think that it's net positive in the long term. Hopefully, it spurs approval of like these ETF products and the
And better exchanges and clearer rules and like just like more light on this. Like, again, I it's hard for me to look at this lawsuit and settlement as anything but a total win for real believers and a loss for criminals.
Well, let's switch a little bit gears and talk about a story that we missed yesterday, which is the Kraken lawsuit. So the just come in and register SEC filed a suit against Kraken for operating as an unregistered securities exchange, a broker and a dealer. And it was very similar to the suit that was filed against Coinbase this year. The SEC just listed off, 20 different assets that they named as securities, with, some like, I guess backing for it inside the filing lawsuit. So what about Kraken? Kraken has essentially operated as a good actor in this space. I think you may know them, or at least somebody here knows them. Jesse's been a staunch, like pro-US crypto guy.
Yeah. So guess what? They didn't plead guilty. Like,
yeah, that's true.
And they're going to fight it. And like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the DOJ has every right to say, we think something wrong went here. We're going to use the legal system to prove that. And guess what? CZ was like, fuck. And Jesse's like, no, we think that's wrong. And we are going to use the system to show you that it's wrong. Like, what's happening? Like, this is totally fine.
Yeah.
Well, in the prior time that they went after Kraken, I think it was kind of explicitly said by Jesse that they wanted to fight it. It just didn't make sense from a cost-benefit standpoint. Am I remembering correctly on that?
Yeah. He was like, it's not worth it. They were like,
but so how did that resolve?
They wound down their staking program and they unstaked all their Kraken staked ETH at the time, returned it to their customers.
And when I say
that was their business decision.
Right. When I say I'm anti-government, like examples like that are things where I think it's sort of like, it seems like it's not necessarily in the interest of justice when there is when these decisions about like how do they react to it and what's like legal and illegal comes down to like a cost benefit analysis. Because it's at that point, it seems like it's like countervening factors that tip the scales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess that's the market though, right?
Yeah, but over-regulation of a market is about controlling that market.
Well, again, like the problem.
What I'm saying is the DOJ is not really coming for justice. They're coming for power. They're coming.
Well, again, DOJ is different than the SEC, right?
That.
DOJ brings some criminal charges, while the SEC and all the other regulators bring.
Yeah, but you guys are acting as if they're like. And I'm not saying that I know all these three-letter words as well as you guys do. What I'm saying is they're asserting their authority in a way that, in my opinion, and I think that many people perceive it that way, is mostly about exerting their power and like controlling that market. And just like you said, Rex, earlier, market manipulation is wrong, but that's another kind of market manipulation as well. If you want to control the forces of the market, you're also manipulating it, not even if it's not in the exact way that it's like written at some point. So what I'm saying is that these guys are not only the good guys as well. And that's what I feel, that sometimes it feels that you claim.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. We'll see. Kraken probably push back on this one because it essentially means that they would have to shut down their exchange if they accepted a settlement here.
Yeah, and again, I just have to wonder, right? If the DOJ is like, it's illegal to do staking, and Kraken looks at their books, and they're like, we're actually not winning this war. There's no money here. Like, let's just not fight this. Like, that's their business decision.
Mm-hmm.
That's like allowed.
So the payment that Binance actually has to pay out is in two parts. There is a $1.8 billion settlement that will cover the money laundering charges, and that will be paid over 15 months. And then there is another $2 billion for other related charges that probably will be paid now. So the company will take a hit to its finances, but I'm sure they have the money after the run up of the past couple of years, and with the size of where BNB chain is right now. So I think Binance will probably look back on this as a turning point for Binance. They get new leadership. They essentially are able to get a clean slate, get away from the OFAC stuff and Iran. And
if anything, I would make the argument that the government should not take this deal on their side. Like, Binance gets fucking everything. CZ's probably not going to go to jail. Like,
okay, so great point. So why are they taking it?
No, but it again.
No, really. Why are they taking it?
Money, to save them time and money.
Yeah, I mean, look, they get to get up.
So maybe they know that they can't prove it for sure.
Yeah, but they get to get up like yesterday. Everybody, Garland and Yellen gets to say like, look at this win we got. Yeah,
I know. I listen. I understand why it happened. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like, look at this deal and be like, CZ got fucked. I look at it the other way to say the American people actually got the lower end of the deal. That's all I'm trying to say.
Can you expand on it?
Because I think that if CZ created an illegal exchange, which he knows is illegal, is changing countries every 5 months because he's about to get arrested, is using terrorist drug money, like ransomware money, all this stuff to fund all this other stuff, and has created a like toxic dark market in which all the worst things on this planet happen through Binance, maybe we should shut down Binance and maybe he should go to jail.
But so according to that point, why do you accept the fact that the US is actually taking the deal?
Well, because like
why
I think
are you actually going after it?
Because again, like to take Binance to court, and
but that's the actual justice. Like
no.
That's just not how the justice system works, though.
No, not like 90% of all cases when it comes to federal cases are like settled. Like the way the government looks at it is
it doesn't teach you something about the system.
Like unless it's a clear home run,
yeah,
like SPF,
broken for sure. Like it's not new.
Yeah, unless there's unless there's a clear home run about how like SPF, right, where they know they have all the evidence and they know how the trial is going to go and they know they're going to win it, right? They'll go to trial and they'll litigate that.
You guys don't even know what happened. Like CZ could have proactively come to them and said, "Hey, we'll give you what do you want? You want the data sharing agreements? That's on the table as long as I don't go to jail." Like, we just don't know what happened.
Or even 12 months, right? Like, I'll go to jail for 12 months. Like, I'll step down as executive. Like, we'll pay a fine.
Again, I'm not saying anything about the politics. I'm not saying what should have happened, what should have not. All I'm saying is that if you look at the deal and you look at what CZ is getting, which is no jail, ownership of the world's largest exchange that's only going to get stronger without him, and keeps his billions of dollars. And you look at the American people got, which is everyone now knows that CZ is one of the bad guys. Like, who won?
Random. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Garrett.
No. Let's keep it on the. I was going to change subject slightly, so why don't we keep it on the
No,
subject?
never.
No, I don't have anything else. Go ahead, Garrett.
And again,
I've
I
got
think
one
that
question.
it's
Easy
it's
one.
It's okay, Garrett. What do you got?
oversimplifying it, saying like he's the bad and he's the good. Like it's oversimplifying it. Honestly, it's oversimplifying.
I'm not saying he's bad or good, but
You
honestly,
just
that's why
said
I
he's the
jumped
bad
on
guy.
this.
You just said the American people know that he's the bad guy. That's what you
No,
said.
I didn't do. No. I
But
jumped in
rewind
here
it
because
later, man. Rewind
Okay,
it.
wait. I got it. Let's hold on. We're interrupting Garrett. Garrett had something to talk about.
Well, I
Garrett, what
was
do you
just
got?
gonna ask. I haven't read up on this nearly as much as all of you have, but what's like the territorial like questions at play here? Because I saw like there was a quote that basically said that because like some U.S. people used Binance, therefore it fell within the U.S.'s jurisdiction. Is that like the argument that's happening here? It's not clear to me why like this is necessarily like the business of the U.S. justice system.
because the U.S. government controls the global financial system, and Binance is part of the global financial system. I mean, like we can go down just the route of like this is all bullshit and just like power grabs and stuff, but I'm sure there's some like legal, like actual like jurisdiction and justification. Like the lawsuit's there, we can read it.
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah,
So
they said some payments came from the United States and went to Iran.
How many of us are on Binance with VPNs and stuff? Like, there's so much jurisdiction. No, I'm not. I'm fine with
I don't know what you're talking about.
I guarantee you, there of a country of 450 million people, there's one here that is using Binance, and that's enough. Like, if we want to talk about jurisdiction.
No, I mean, I don't doubt that there are people using. Oh, please, Wajahat, please.
I was just going to say,
you're muted.
With Binance,
you're muted, sir.
No, we can hear him. We can hear him.
You can hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
With the Binance having to pay 4.3 billion, do we even know if they've got the cash reserves for that? Do they have to liquidate their BNB and Bitcoin for it?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it's Twitter, so, but I've seen a couple of things where it's like they essentially have like 3 to 3.5 in cash or stables, and then the rest would come out of crypto. But I've also seen a bunch of things where they're not going to have to sell anything. But our numbers are so broken. Sorry, our brains are so broken by these numbers. Like $4 billion. Are you kidding me? That is so much money. There's no like 4 billion. Like, what? So that just the idea that even if they have that in cash, that they could just pay it out and it's not a big deal. Like they had that in cash for a reason, like we're just saying that like 4 billion is a huge number. It's a huge, like it's a market shifting number.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at some of the other fines that people have paid. Pfizer paid $1.3 billion criminal fine.
You see how corrupt our society is, man.
Well, hold on. Wait.
Hold
on. Let me finish here. So Pfizer paid here. I have a nice little graphic too.
I hope I'm not cutting the punchline, but I've heard that this is the 7th largest fine in U.S. history.
Bank of America paid $16.6 billion to settle federal and state charges that it misled investors about the quality of its mortgage-backed securities. JP Morgan paid $13 billion to settle federal and state charges about mortgage-backed securities as well too. BNP paid $8.9 billion for OFAC violations for Sudan, Iran, and Cuba. Deutsche Bank paid $2.5 billion for messing up the LIBOR rates. HSBC paid $1.9 billion to settle charges that it laundered money for drug cartels and terrorist organizations. And Credit Suisse paid $2.6 billion to settle charges for money laundering for drug cartels and terrorist organizations. ING paid $775 million for violating U.S. sanctions. Wells Fargo paid $2.9 billion for tens of thousands of mortgages that it knew weren't correct. So, yeah, it's up there. We're talking like GSIB bank level violating, like what was it? JP Morgan violating OFAC sanctions, or
most of those that you just went through were like fines for 2008. Like we're talking above 2008 level.
So what? Like, guys, you've just witnessed. Like, is Binance one of the biggest conspiracies in the history of mankind?
No.
Exactly. That's my point.
But it is. I think it is probably the largest criminal fine for OFAC violations.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Does it make sense that it's so big when companies like Pfizer got a third of it?
Of course. I
are
mean,
you guys
like,
even comprehending what you're saying here?
I mean,
I'm not sure.
these criminal charges are like they in federal court, they're pretty specific about what the damages and how much you pay are.
But
there
think
was-
about what
hold on,
actually
wait,
happened
let
in
me-
real life.
On. So there was $800 million worth of like funds of volume traded through these Iranian connected exchanges. That's a shit ton of money. And so the fees that you're going to pay, in this case, $1.8 billion, are similar to the amount of volume that was used in the crime. Be nice to have Alex.
Yeah, I don't think you can compare Pfizer versus Binance.
No,
like they're
no.
different crimes, different industries. Like, what did Pfizer even do? I don't know.
I don't want to talk.
It was about
that because
it was about painkillers. It was about the efficacy and
The opioids?
So it was something
Man,
to do.
you guys are not even aware. Fuck. Sorry.
So
Fuck.
so
man.
it
What
was
are we
a
not aware of?
so it was a healthcare.
Pfizer. What are we not aware of?
I'm bringing it up. So Pfizer paid $2.3 billion for fraudulent marketing, the largest healthcare fraud settlement in the history of the Department of Justice, to resolve criminal and civil liabilities arising from the illegal promotion of certain of their product, or the product Bextra, with the intent to defraud or mislead. It was an anti-inflammatory drug that Pfizer pulled from the market in 2005. And Pfizer promoted the sale. Yeah. So anyways, they paid a huge fine here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's the summer of Sam. Samuel Lin at Binance, also gone now. Sam Altman potentially coming back to. I think he's coming back to OpenAI.
No, he's back.
He's back.
What a dumb waste of all of our time.
What was your take on the whole situation, Rex?
I think that Twitter has like destroyed everything, and I think it's like totally embarrassing and shameful that like one of the most like interesting companies, like corporate board politics, is playing out with Twitter. And my first reaction is that if the board kicks Sam out for lying, he's probably a liar. And I think it's like ridiculous that like the tech community has gotten like so personal and like fucking riotous about this, that like we're basically like, it's like decision by mob rule. I don't know. I mean, I just don't care. Literally, I don't care. Like, what if we want to do this? Like, why aren't we talking about like the corporate board drama at MyPillow? Like, that's a more interesting story to me.
I didn't know there was corporate board drama in MyPillow, but maybe we should.
Oh man, if you want stories, you need to learn about the MyPillow guy. That guy's like one of the main characters of America right now.
Wow, what happened?
Oh, he's like one of Trump's like top guys.
Yeah, I understand that, but like, is he like?
He's like lost his entire fortune, like because he's been funding all this like election like lawsuits and stuff, and he's got slapped on it every time. And he was a billionaire, and now he's worth less than 10 million.
You know, he's a cocaine addict.
Yeah, no, he's a meth addict.
Yeah, so he was like a drug addict up until the time he was like 40, and then he started this pillow company and turned into a billionaire.
What are you guys referring to?
This is so off topic.
Okay.
How does
no, really, who is this guy?
His name's Mike Lindell. He's the owner of this company called MyPillow. They were super famous for these like really cheesy commercials, and now he's like lost everything because he went so hard down like the Trump like thing.
How does he sleep at night?
I mean, not at his home.
Probably on a MyPillow.
Yeah.
It's whoever's pillow it is. It's not his anymore.
Okay, let's talk about Aragon DAO. We got a couple of more things to cover. So I've never actually heard of this, but the Aragon DAO is suing, or sorry, they're holding a vote to determine whether they're going to sue the foundation, the Swiss Aragon Foundation. And yeah.
Wait, who's like, so a DAO makes a vote. Like, who's gonna do this suing?
Oh, the DAO's gonna fund legal action against its founders. So
this vote is just gonna eject a bunch of money where?
Well, so let me just roll back and give some history. Back in 2016 or 17, Aragon raised 275,000 ETH at a very low price of $200 to $300 per ETH. That ballooned into hundreds of millions of dollars that was sitting in their treasury. Now, all this ETH was transferred into a Swiss foundation, which was not legally connected to the DAO, but would pay for certain operations to fund the development of the Aragon products. And then the DAO would be in charge of like on-chain deployments or something, but they wouldn't actually have any connection to the treasury or to the foundation. And this became a really big sticking point. The treasury became worth hundreds of millions, while the Aragon token pretty much went into the gutter. It went down to, I don't know, a couple tens of millions. And so several months back, a group of quote unquote RFV raiders started buying up the Aragon token with the intent of using them to start voting to recoup funds from the treasury DAO to essentially balance out the amount of funds that were in the treasury versus the price of the token. Swiss Foundation pushed back and said, hey, you can't do this. You don't control any of the DAO operations, or it's not DAO operations, but you don't control development of Aragon as a product. And all of these funds are separate and they sit with the Swiss Foundation. We can't be under the assumption that the Aragon token is anything, has any sort of like investment value or is connected to this ETH that we have in the treasury. That played on for a while. There's a lot of back and forth. And then unilaterally, the Aragon Foundation decided that it was going to wind down the Aragon like treasury itself, and that they were going to essentially use the funds to pay back to token holders equally based on how many tokens they had. The problem with this is that the team and foundation controlled upwards of 40% of all the tokens. So by essentially winding down operations here, they were going to get payouts of somewhere between $50 to $80 million that they were going to use to fund a brand new company that current Aragon token holders would have no rights or interest in. And so now the DAO itself believes these actions to be arbitrary, you could say, and against the will of the DAO. And so now they have funded legal action to go and sue the foundation in hopes of getting a better deal.
I don't know. Seems what you expect. I mean, like what I expect when you do stuff with DAOs, which aren't real.
Yeah.
It sounds like a mess.
Seems like that us as human beings, we're not that good at governance, even in small amounts or in big amounts. Like we always tend to have difficulties with it. It seems.
Yeah. So in addition to the team holders controlling the Aragon tokens, the ANT token for themselves that they'll be able to redeem with, they also are setting a timed claim period where any unclaimed funds after a year will be returned back to the treasury and distributed solely for the purposes of this new company that's being set up. So if you are an ANT token holder and you don't claim during that time period, well, you lose out.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I'm definitely with Rex on this one. This keeps you like saying like, is this thing even happening? Is it even real? Am I supposed to address it as cynically joke?
It's kind of. I think there's some connections between what we saw at OpenAI and the crazy stuff we see in DAO governance as well too. Where
in what way?
Well, OpenAI had this very convoluted structure where they had transitioned from being a company into a cap to nonprofit, and then the nonprofit had control over the for-profit OpenAI company, with Microsoft being a minority shareholder in the for-profit, but really having no rights or ability to affect changes at the nonprofit. And so there's a lot of similarities between what we see here with like Aragon, where there's a nonprofit foundation, the Aragon Foundation, and then essentially this DAO, which is pushing for there to be profitability, for there to be income, for there to be a return on the ANT token as like a number go up investment, whatever you want to call it, to return value to the ecosystem. And there's differences between those two groups, between the foundation and the token holders.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the sense that there's different stakeholders and like this, it's playing out in public. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, we see this with a lot of DAOs where I don't think anybody really knows how to set up a DAO properly. Like
I just think they're not real. I think like they're vehicles that are created to issue illegal securities. That's what they are.
It's gonna be very hard to disprove his claim here, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Honestly. And I was very reluctant to think about it at first, but the more I see cases, you see it like a DAO that's not with 100% momentum on a very high probability will turn into a slow rug. Whatever.
Well, and then the scarier thing is the DAOs that are on high momentum, because everyone's so caught up on their own like farts that they don't realize that like their fearless leader is like making decisions that are really short-term, really beneficial for them, provide a lot of liquidity so they can get out. But I mean, the amount of projects that were just darlings during like 2021 that like now in retrospect, we can say like, holy shit, like a perfect example is like Wonderland. Like,
yeah,
in the hype, we were all, but like, what, even in the best moment, what was that? Honestly, Wonderland's probably a bad example. There's a community still there. Like, what about Olympus? Or what about any of these?
but
I think
to be honest,
Olympus
I think a lot of that blame is on us because we were participating in it and choosing to see the better parts of it.
Yeah, we got suckered. We got suckered by DAOs that are illegal forms of issuing illegal securities. Like, this is why we need regulation for folks like us.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have done anything to stop Olympus DAO, right? I mean, it's fully on chain, like
sort of. I mean, if you had any fear of going to jail for doing that, it might not have happened.
Yeah, and also, but I think that on the other side of it, like, don't you guys think that in a way, DAOs are just like, I'm not saying they are perfect or even a good, maybe on at least some views, expression of like, are these all expressions of a free market? Like,
I think
what was the actual crime with Olympus? It wasn't a crime. It was taking advantage of the fact that I lost money in Olympus, but I didn't feel like they owe me anything,
Well, with Olympus, the crime would be that they like illegally marketed and fraudulently marketed something that like did not hold to like the original promises, right? Like you can't, if you're in like the real world and you're like, hey, this is Apple stock that you can do this 3-3 thing that and like all of that goes to like, you'll go to jail. Like that's just not.
But you know what? But Rex, don't you think that TV commercials, don't they lie much more in a much more blunt way and more often?
No, because you it's illegal to promote Ponzi games or like Ponzi's in the real world, right? But
anyway, so DeFi Advisor, what you were saying, like the original sin, like DAOs could be real, but the original sin and the reason why this is all about illegal securities is tokens. Like I don't see, like, no matter what we call ourselves on like the DAO coordinate, like when at the end of the day, it's all about creating a financial asset, creating liquidity around that, and then pumping the price. Like that's what we're doing here.
No, but I do think that even you would agree that there are some exceptions to that. Like, for example, Curve is a real DAO, in your opinion, or is it the same thing?
I mean, I know this is unpopular here, but I would say exact same thing.
No, I want your honest opinion. Who cares what's popular?
Exact same thing. And I think that the Michael Curve token, like profitable trading strategy, is a reflection of that.
Could you elaborate how
sorry, I combined two things there. The Michael about to get liquidated, the Avi Eisenberg, like I think the fact that Michael has such a large supply of the Curve token and uses that for like basically uses the amount of like hype and liquidity and community to like give himself venues to take liquidity out of the system is a reflection of what I think about DAOs.
But Michael is not himself a majority shareholder or even plurality stakeholder in Curve, correct?
Well, first of all, I don't know. I mean, first of all, I really don't know because we're in crypto world and who knows who controls which wallets. Second of all, I don't know because I don't know what the distribution is. But third, like I'm not I didn't bring up Curve. I'm not using this as an opportunity to like shit on Curve or
No,
shit on.
I asked.
Right. I'm just saying that like if we're drawing a line and we say there's good DAOs and bad DAOs, like I think DAOs fall on the bad DAO side.
It's a hard problem to solve, right? Because when you have anonymous decision makers,
we did solve this. Like that's what corporate government, like we spent 200 years like moving out of the stock exchange in Amsterdam to create, like KYC had a purpose, you know? Like,
well, here's that. I actually want to get your opinion on something, and maybe somebody else can chime in here. Is that I think when we talk about DAOs, we're really talking about like they want this limited liability as the DAO itself, but have these large entities that operate within them where it almost operates like a partnership. And so the anonymity, and I think this is similar to what the case made in the UkiDAO case, is that, you know, the anonymity or the people taking part in the DAO are all like liable for what's happening in the DAO because they're the ones voting on it. And if there are any like hacks or loss of funds or anything, like DAO itself should be liable. And that's kind of crazy. And it probably would change the whole ecosystem of how we build and the amount of risks that we can take. But I think it is something that you're probably touching on here, is when we think about like liability in terms of these DAOs, like what are we actually voting for, right? Like who's responsible for all these decisions that are being put out, right? Like when we have hacks, when people lose money, when there is a retail investors who are hurt by all this, like where do we look towards? Is it just this like faceless entity that we can say, oh, it's the DAO's fault, like we didn't actually do anything, you know, we all voted on it, so you know,
yeah, I mean that's like literally why it's created, so that like when things go bad, you have something to point at. You know, it's the perfect meme. Like Degen Spartan, I think this came from, captured it perfectly. It's like, which color car should I get my Lambo, black or red? Before founder votes, 50-50. After founder votes, 95-5.
Yeah.
Like, all of this are just like, go back and read like I think it's the Infinite Machine, one of those, like every single book about Ethereum, all they talk about is the difference between security and commodity and like the legal blah, 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 blah. Like all of this comes out of that, which is like, oh my God, we found this financial asset that we can do some pretty crazy things are. We're pretty sure if we're not going to jail for it, we're going to get fined out of our ass. So like, let's create structures in which we have plausible deniability. And we're like 6 years into that evolution.
Well, here's something that I want to hear your opinion on, Rex, is that Rohan Gray, who I follow, posted a comment, which I actually kind of agree on, and said that like limited liability for corporations should only be available for publicly traded corporations.
Well, I mean, then it like buy capitalism. I mean, what do you mean? Why?
No, I mean, like if you're not a publicly traded company, then you shouldn't have limited liability.
But so what limited liability is, like, let's say I want to go open an ice cream shop, and let's say like I go take a loan for the ice cream shop, and like, so I have liabilities, and then someone slips and falls and like sues the ice cream shop, and so there's no money left. Should the lender be able to go after me for that money? Like, then businesses start to break down. Like, why would I ever invest in an ice cream shop?
Well, it need to go public.
Okay. So like for somebody who hates big business and like consolidation, like that is the path to only multinational conglomerates that have monopoly power can exist.
Well, you'd have to make the path to going public a lot easier. Like to be a public company, the reporting requirements that have to be cheaper and everything. But if you aren't a public company, the benefits of limited liability, not in the sense of like what you're talking about of like somebody slips and falls, but like let's say that you are a coal company, right? And you intentionally go out and you're like mining, and there's some like waste that enters into the like the well water, the groundwater or something, right? And it poisons people get sick, right? Like should the executives who allowed that to happen, who own that company privately, should they face personal liability for?
Depends. Did they know about it? Did they try to cover it up? then in this case with limited liability, they will go to jail.
Yeah.
Like that is how it should work. And if it's a genuine accident and they didn't do anything wrong, then the company should go down, but the owner shouldn't be like forever fucked for it.
Yeah.
What if it's a DAO?
Then we should all go to jail.
I'm kidding. You're kidding.
Speaking of pyramids and speaking of Ponzi's, we had Blast, which came out and provided us with some great content yesterday. This was directly from their website where it talks about how invites work and their point system. Blast is a upcoming L2 made by Pac-Man from Blur. That is their entire selling point is that they're going to take your deposits of USDC or Tether or whatever, and then also ETH as well too, and then swap them into Steth or swap them into SDAI, where they will earn a yield and then they'll pass that back to you somehow. It's very revolutionary.
I mean, this is like super late cycle stuff. It's like there's no value here. It's just like taking all the Ponzi's of everything else and slapping them together. Like, what? This
Sounds like a business plan, Rex. Sounds like a business.
sounds like a DAO.
Exactly. So, but Paradigm, who's very well known for open source building and funding great projects and doing a ton of research, is the lead investor here in Blast. And
Yeah, but also like A16Z is known for creating the internet and also funding Theranos. You know, like Sequoia funded FTX. Like you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. I will say that PAC does have a good finger for being able to design some great Ponzinomics. Well, look, I mean, Blur was able to Blur essentially killed OpenSea.
Sort of.
I mean,
I don't think OpenSea's dead.
Not dead, but their late cycle valuation back in 2021 was like $13 billion, and now it's 90% down.
But it was
It's
also a
with
narrative.
everything.
But it was also a narrative shift because throughout that time, also something happened to NFTs in general and their perception within the public. Like it's not all about what. Like
I'm not talking about
it was the same and Blur won OpenSea. You know.
Yeah, I'm just talking about like competitive volumes between each other. I'm not talking about market as a whole. Blur was able to take like 80 to 90% of all the volumes that were happening through OpenSea because they built an institutional based platform for
Sort of. They built an airdrop farming platform.
Yeah. So, but those Ponzinomics that PAC designed for Blur could now be applied to this L2, which
Right.
they are planning to go live. So
Exactly what I was saying, right? This is just super late cycle. Like, okay, LSDs, big deal. Like multiplier points, big deal. Like, it's just combining L2s, big deal. Like,
They just need to add AI to the mix.
Yeah.
We've got.
get this man at $20 million.
So
What's the problem, Rex? Let's just open a DAO and call that DAO. Give Mughal $20 million.
You know what? CZ has some extra time. He might be gone.
Man, I actually do want to have him as an advisor because I think the DAO is going to work. Then.
I mean, me too. He knows where all the money is.
Yeah, okay. You see, we can agree on a lot of stuff.
So
Yes.
here's Fiscantes with the great meme. Cat saying, I should launch my own too. I should launch my own L2. Maybe we need a Leviathan L2. I don't even know what it'll do.
Yeah, yeah. You know, well, what were we even thinking?
You have to pay
There's
fees
more
with
L2s
bad
than
takes.
users.
We pay with hot takes and
Yeah,
spicy
exactly.
memes.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. We're at the top of the hour. Rex, it was a pleasure to have you back.
Yes, man, it was
Yeah.
You're
Great
our
having you.
most requested in
by far.
by
Good.
far.
I'm glad we were able to duke it out this morning.
Wajahat, see you as well.
Happy to
Just
let
a
Rex do
preview
the talking
for-
today.
It's all just a preview for Thanksgiving dinner
Oh,
with
yeah.
everyone's families, right?
Yeah. Do you not
Like, this is
understand
Spain.
that? All I'm trying to do here is give you guys the opportunity to practice against your anti-crypto family members.
Well played, man. Well played. Like,
Good luck tomorrow.
must watch exercise for all crypto viewers who celebrate Thanksgiving. And honestly, really a lot of fun having you on, man. Hope you come on more often.
Yep.
Fun to disagree, fun to like see things differently, and to actually like have an energetic discussion about stuff. And hope it was relevant for the audience. Feel free to share your thoughts. And Sam, thanks as always for the great hosting. Bye, folks.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye.